Hi there, I'm Brian Burkhart from Square Planet, and welcome to this edition of Orange, our monthly video series bringing you tips to be an amazing communicator. And I am telling you, we've got the guest of all guests today. She is awesome, the bomb, if you will, and, you know, one of the pirates. This is Kaylee Conrad. How are you, Kaylee?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Kaylee is awesome. I'm good. She is the vice president around here. She's the chief of design. Anything that you've ever seen that looks cool out of Square Planet, it's because of this girl. She's kind of the bomb. And I've got a bunch of questions about design because people always want to know our behind the scenes, our thought process, the things that we think and do around design. And because I don't really have a clue, I thought, you know what? Let's talk to the person that does. So Kaylee, I've got a bunch of questions for you. Are you ready to answer?
I am.
Let's do this. First one is, what are some of your initial thoughts when you start a project, when you're getting ready to jump in? What are you thinking about as you initially go towards a project?
One of the things that we always try to keep in mind is designing for the audience. A lot of people have a tendency to overload the slide with too much information, too much visual clutter. They'll use images that are too small to be displayed on screen, making everything just look like kind of a mess. But all those things are distracting for your audience. They make it hard for everyone to understand. They cause the audience to read the slide instead of look at the slide. Your slides are really just a reinforcement of what you're saying. You're there to provide the message to people. It's not about what's on the screen. It's about you. The clients hire us to represent their brand and to provide a unified presence for them, no matter what the avenue is that we're designing for. It's something that we always try to push and do something a little bit unexpected. That's a challenge that I find myself giving myself all the time, is to do something that's not so typical, something they can't get from their internal marketing departments, something that, you know, people will see the work that we do and they think, oh wow, how'd they do that? But at the same time, still working within the constraints that we're given based on what already exists for their brand.
We talk about this in all kinds of things, certainly in the spoken word and the content that we create, but simplicity. What's your thought process around simplicity, specifically in slide design?
One of the things that we always tell people is 6 words a slide. Don't do anything more than that. It becomes visually just a mess after that point. We want it to be brief and concise and give the audience more of a reinforcement type of tool rather than something that they should be reading and focusing on and trying to glean information from.
We're trying to get behind the scenes here, and so I want to know about tools and resources. What are the things that you commonly use when you build your projects?
I think a lot of people start in the wrong place. People think that if you go to Google image search that it's a free-for-all, but it's not, newsflash. It's definitely something that people tend to lean on too much, and it's not legal, and that's one of the reasons that we at Square Planet have subscribed to a photo and vector image base called Photalia. That's a really good resource for us. There's also tons of free resources if you don't have the means to pay for a subscription, which can get kind of pricey. There's things like Wikimedia Commons, which is more of a historical based thing that, you know, if you go to Wikipedia, all those images on there are free for use. A lot of them require some citation. Even things like Flickr, people will put up their images for commercial use. Again, you may have to cite your source, but it's something that's available, high resolution, good quality. There's tons of stuff out there.
Okay, I have strong opinions on this, Kaylee. I hope we're on the same page. Tell me about transitions, animations, all the whoop-de-doo, sound effects, all the crazy stuff that people want to use in presentations. Good idea, bad idea? What are your thoughts?
I think you should never be the guy that does that kind of stuff just because you can. There's a time and a place for everything, but more often than not, I would say shying away from things that can potentially become distracting or even discrediting is a good rule of thumb. We use some more subtle types of animations and things like that in a lot of the design that we do, just to kind of make things a little bit more visually engaging, but it's never, you know, the cornball anvil drop or whatever all of those crazy animations that they give you in there are. I do know that the first time I saw the sparkle animation in Keynote, I thought to myself, what could you ever use this for? But then, like I said, a time and a place for everything. And we've used it in awards decks, something a little bit more glamorous and stuff like that. But it's not something that you would want to get on stage and use in a professional setting. So be mindful of the appropriate context for those types of things.
I think you should use the right tool for the job. And far too frequently, people use PowerPoint as a publishing tool. I think that's wrong. What do you think?
We find time and time again that our clients will try to make their presentations multi-purposed. They'll have a deck that they think should somehow stand alone without them. And we tell them that's not the means that you should be using to provide any information if you're trying to have it be translated without you there. PowerPoint was created as a tool to be used with a presenter. So when people come and try to make it be something that it's not, it becomes an issue. PowerPoint does even all sorts of technical things that aren't meant for layout purposes. It'll downsample images. The formatting of text and things like that just becomes really ugly, and it's just not a great tool for layout purposes. If you want to do something as a standalone piece, there are tons of other programs. Even Microsoft Word will work okay. You can use any number of things that aren't PowerPoint, and PowerPoint should be shelved for those purposes.
Final tips, tricks, thoughts, little ideas. What are some of the nuggets of gold that we should understand about your world and design?
One of the core central things that we always continue to have in our minds about design is the fact that all of our presentations are for the audience. They're not for presenters' notes. They're not for any other purpose than to communicate a clear message with your audience.
So Kaylee really is a wealth of information. I always feel like every time we talk about projects, she's looking at it and thinking about it in a way that I just never could. It's amazing to hear her insights on this. So thank you for being with us. And if people wanted to talk to you, well, really any of us here, what would you tell them to do?
You can email both of us at info@squareplanet.com, and it'll go right to both Brian and myself.
Perfect. Well, with that, thank you again, Kaylee, and thank all of you. That's going to do it for this edition of Orange, and we hope to see you again next month. Thanks so much.